Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome back, dear learners, to this NPTEL course on low cost building materials and techniques. My name is Dr. Vishal Chettry and I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Architecture, Planning and Design at IIT BHU Varanasi. In this particular lecture, we will focus on alternate building materials and understand how these different materials can be used for construction of or in the place of doors, windows, or roofing sheets, or in case of walls. So, what are those different options that are available to us in case if we want to design a building which incurs very minimal cost to the users. So, let us understand more about these things in the lecture, and hopefully it will be helpful for you to understand the wider applications of low cost building materials in the building industry. The content of this presentation will include an introduction to alternate masonry materials, and then we will also focus on low cost roofing materials and systems, cost efficient flooring materials, like what are different flooring options for flooring materials which may minimize the cost of construction. So, we will also understand about these flooring materials. Along with that, low cost doors and windows, affordable wall finishes and surface treatments that are possible, and then some examples of roofing like thin shell structures, funicular structural systems, and some case studies which is basically about HUDCO affordable housing projects and Aranya low cost housing society in Indore. And then we will conclude the presentation with some wrap up activities and topics that will be covered in the next presentation, and resources and further reading for better understanding on the topics that were covered in this presentation. So, let us now revise what was covered in the previous presentation. We had focused on the prominent architect Laurie Baker, who invented techniques like rat trap bond and filler slabs, which reduce the construction cost effectively, because the usage of concrete, the usage of artificially cooling interior spaces will be minimized because of these techniques that were used. So, that is where these techniques are very efficient and useful, and also we understood how the use of local materials like brick, mud, stones improved the affordability and sustainability of the construction. We also observed that the climate responsive design enhances thermal comfort and it reduces energy consumption of the while the building is actually constructed. We also explored Auroville Earth Institute's use of CSAB blocks as cost effective alternatives to conventional bricks. Options where or also we looked for options for conventional bricks. Then we also recognized that the importance of eco-friendly construction and reduced carbon footprint has considerable impact on the overall carbon emission during the construction and post construction also. So, these are some important learnings that were covered in the previous presentation. So, if you want to understand more about these points, so just go back to the previous presentation and re-look into the content that were covered in the previous presentation. So, moving forward, we as mentioned in the content, we will first understand some of the alternative masonry materials. So, first among them is fly ash bricks, which is made from fly ash, lime, gypsum and sand. As I was telling you before, fly ash, which is a byproduct of thermal power plant, and if you have seen any thermal power plant, you will see heaps of such fly ash which is produced from thermal power plants, and they are kept in the site of in the corners of such thermal power plants. So, during heavy winds, as these power plants are constructed somewhere in the outer areas of the city, where you will find not much of vegetation is present, and with strong winds sometimes that flows through the city or in these outer areas. So, these fly ash actually moves with the wind, and then it creates an environmental havoc in the areas nearby. So, that is why an alternative was thought, why not make a brick out of fly ash. So, that is from that is where it started, like the use of fly ash for construction. Similarly, I gave you few there are few examples of some waste material which are now used in terms of bricks, and continuous research and development is going on in this particular sector by utilizing any waste product, how that can be formed a block, and then the same can be used for construction, especially in masonry construction. Then in these fly ash bricks, the water absorption capacity is also less, like 20 to 30% less water absorption happens in fly ash bricks. Further, in stabilized mud block, soil is compressed with cement or lime. So, if the quality of mud is not up to the mark, so or if there are some constituents which are not available in the mud, and it is not a good material to construct or to manufacture a brick, so some stabilizers are added in the mud block. So, it may be cement, it may be lime, or maybe this thatch that is produced from the remaining of the wheat or rice cultivation. So, all these straws that are left after the cultivation, these can be added to increase the strength of the mud, but these are not directly added, all those long pieces, they are obviously chopped, and sometimes a powdery kind of substance is produced, and then it is added in the mud mixture, and that is where these by adding all these the energy that is required for manufacturing of bricks, like if we compare this stabilized mud block with that with the kiln burn bricks, so it minimizes the energy reduction to 40 to 60%. Further, the energy that is reduced that is required actually to cool a particular space by this fly ash in compared to stabilized mud block, so that also reduces significantly over there. So, these are some important aspects of stabilized mud block. Similarly, for compressed earth block, soil is compressed under high pressure, and then there is less the embodied energy of the material is reduced to 50%, because the material doesn't this material doesn't require cement or any other material like which has high embodied energy. So, these materials are not used in the manufacturing of compressed earth block. Then the other is hollow concrete blocks. So, lightweight blocks with hollow cores. So, what it does is it actually reduces the dead load of the structure, and if we reduce the dead load of the structure, by 20 to 30% weight reduction happens of the entire structure. So, according to that, the calculations that goes behind in designing the dimension of beam, slabs, column, foundation, so all that alters, and we can utilize less of steel and less of concrete because of such use, because of the usage of such lightweight concrete blocks. Then next is AAC blocks. It is a lightweight aerated concrete block with air bubbles. So, the dead load in this case is also reduced by 30 to 40% because of hollow blocks in the form of bubbles that are present in AAC blocks. Then the other is adobe blocks. So, these are just sun-dried blocks made from clay, sand, straw and water. So, it has very low embodied energy, as we are not burning it in the kiln. So, that is why the embodied energy is low, and strength and comparatively strength is also better, and it is cheaper, at least 40 to 50% less the cost is lesser than the fired bricks. So, if we see the overall cost reduction when we use alternative masonry materials, so the key benefit is that about 20 to 50% of cost saving is possible in case of such low cost masonry materials. So, overall it reduces the construction cost due to the less material usage and labor usage that is possible with the use of such alternative masonry materials. Then the next is use of local and waste materials like utilizing fly ash, soil and other locally available resources which are creating, like in case all these leftover of after we take out juice from sugar cane, so all that is left plus all these dried leaves that are present. So, these can also be experimented, and there has been some detailed study on how these materials can be reused in the form of blocks for the construction. So, the continuous study is going on. So, you can also explore further about these recent developments in building industry, especially the R&D on utilizing waste as or waste or byproduct of nature for the construction. So, to make it more to make the construction less like to minimize the unsustainability of that is created because of the usage of high embodied materials. Further, it also increases the pace of construction. Larger blocks and interlocking systems like that is there in stabilized blocks or compressed stabilized blocks, the interlocking system fastens the construction process. The better thermal insulation, since these all are made up of mud as a primary material, so it provides better thermal insulation and reduces the temperature by somewhere around 2 to 4 degree Celsius compared to the use of other conventional material. Also, it reduces the structural loads because most of these materials are light in weight compared to the contemporary materials. In terms of sustainability, all of these materials have low embodied energy, and the carbon emission is also very minimal if we compare that with conventional materials. So, in that context 30 to 60% energy saving is possible because of the use of alternative masonry materials. Then there are some other options for low cost roofing materials and systems like CGI sheets, that is corrugated galvanized iron sheets, and that we have seen in the roof of many buildings. So, these the weight of these material is somewhere around 5 to 8 kg per square meter, and installation is also faster if we compare this with the conventional RCC slab in regions where RCC slabs are not fit for use, especially in regions where there is heavy rainfall. So, therefore, the flat terrace is actually not a good solution that often we construct because we think that and also it is true to some extent that earlier the sheets, roofing sheets that are available would get corroded very easily, and then the leakage of water and all that would happen and the maintenance cost increases. So, in spite of all this, the minimal cost for construction or using CGI sheets, people would go for such flat terraces in regions where there is extreme rainfall and snowfall. But now the quality of these sheets have improved, and if we use these sheets, then for a long period of time there is no issue regarding leakage of or the entry of water from the roof. So, that is minimized. Then the other options for low cost roofing is ferrocement panels. Ferrocement these days has started to be used in different circumstances. The prefabricated roofing sheets, prefabricated staircases and all, especially the walls with windows and all setup are now available in market. So, these are now very much in use in building industry. Further, micro concrete tiles, bamboo roofing is also a good alternative for construction. Then barrel vault using stones is possible for construction. So, all this have been worked with, and it reduces the conventional use of RCC slab for construction. So overall, the cost efficiency we get out of this alternate roofing material is that it reduces the construction cost by 20 to 40%. The lightweight, it is structurally lightweight compared to RCC slab, faster in construction because prefabricated, and other simple systems that we have just studied reduces the construction time, because all these are manufactured in industry, just have to be brought to site, and then it has to be used in the place where there is construction happening. In terms of resource efficiencies, it saves 30 to 40% of cement and steel that is utilized. Thermal comfort, it is also provides better insulations and improves the indoor comfort. Rising construction cost is an issue here. Conventional roofing systems are expensive and resource intensive, so that is why these alternative solutions provide some relief over here. Housing demand, so supports affordable and mass housing projects. It also reduces the environmental issues like minimizes carbon emission, and overall there is a very less environmental impact because of these materials. Then next, about some other alternatives for flooring materials, especially are like cement concrete in compared to that with tiles, that is ceramic tiles or vitrified tiles. These are some alternatives for the flooring, as well as some examples for roofing also. So cement concrete, that is provided over here, then brick flooring, Kota stone, terrazzo flooring, and mud flooring. So overall, in case of flooring material, the cost efficiency, in terms of cost efficiency, the flooring cost is reduced by 20 to 60% when we compare this with conventional flooring materials like tiles and other materials. So that is the advantage over here. And also, even if we compare that with marble and granite flooring, so there is good saving that happens because of the use of such alternative construction material. Then in terms of durability, materials like Kota stone and terrazzo flooring lasts for around 30 to 50 years without any cracks. So that is also an advantage. Low maintenance, requires minimal upkeep, and reduces long term expenses. Then also the alternative here mostly that I have seen in coastal areas is the use of red oxide for the flooring. So red oxide flooring in warm and humid regions provides cool, like it provides relief from like quick heating up of flooring because of extreme sun. So in mostly coastal areas in Mangalore, in Goa and Thiruvananthapuram, you will find houses where red oxide flooring is done. So that is very prevalent in that region. So that is also an alternative flooring material that is used. Rising material costs, like the cost of marble, granite and floor tiles, ceramic as well as vitrified, is increasing day by day. So that is where we minimize the cost, and it is also used for affordable housing projects, and where we promote sustainability, resource efficiency, and wherein we want quick installation. There also the precast tiles can be used for saving the time. Then next, some low cost doors and windows that are there in the construction industry includes the provision for flush doors, steel doors, PVC doors, bamboo doors, precast frames that are available, and then recycled material door. So these are some alternative materials to the conventional use of timber as a material for doors and windows. So the cost efficiency, in terms of cost, since day by day the cost of timber is increasing, so that is why if we use these alternative materials for construction of doors and windows, the cost is also minimized by around 20 to 30%. The durability also, the precast frame, steel and PVC doors, so the durability is somewhere between 30 to 40 years with low maintenance. So as you have seen that in case of timber doors and windows that are made of timber, we require regular polishing, we require regular painting of these material, but in case of PVC and other alternative or bamboo doors and windows, there is no need for such regular maintenance. It is lightweight, so that is also an added advantage. Resource efficiency, reduces the use of timber by around 100% in case of precast frames, because the entire frame for doors and windows are now available in the market in terms of precast materials. That is why in most of the affordable housing projects you will find the use of such precast frames that is used. Then in terms of wall finishes and surface treatment that is done for low cost buildings, so cement plaster, lime plaster, exposed brick, textured finish, that is possible with the way you do the plastering. So a texture is created in the surface, so a rough texture is if it is needed, then such plaster is done, where we reduce the cost by around 15 to 20%. Then the other option is just whitewashing the entire wall with lime. That is also an option. The other is stone cladding. So thin stone layer which is applied on the wall surface, the durability increases of that typical wall. So around 50 plus years there is no need for regular maintenance of that particular wall if you apply stone in the as a cladding. But obviously when we do cladding, it increases the cost at that point of time, but later when we compare that with the maintenance cost, that a regular painting of walls and regularly maintaining the wall, if we compare that in the long term, such cladding are obviously it is much more beneficial in that sense. So overall, the cost efficiency in terms of the usage of such alternative material, we have seen that 15 to 50% of the cost is minimized. Then the durability, that is 20 to 50 plus years if we use cement plaster and stone cladding. So there is no need for regular maintenance. The use of local material is promoted. Thermal comfort, using lime and whitewash lowers the temperature considerably. It reduces the finishing need also if we go for exposed brickwork. The only condition is that we have to go for good quality of brick, like A class brick for the construction. Then let us now look into the alternative roofing material like thin shell structures. So the example that we see here in the image is of the oceanographic, it's an oceanarium in Spain, kind of museum for the ocean. So you have seen the roof that is constructed here. So it is a curved structure with thickness usually 30 to 100 mm, and the structural efficiency here in this case is around such thin shell structures overall transfers the load mainly through compression and tension. So that is how the load is transferred, and in terms of material economy, it uses less material compared to flat slabs. The architectural flexibility that it provides is the main advantage of such thin shell structures. It allows aesthetically pleasing curved forms. The material that is used are reinforced concrete, ferrocement and steel. So these are some options for construction, but predominantly if we go for ferrocement as material, it would be a better material in terms of low cost construction. Then the applications used in stadiums, auditoriums and industrial buildings, where you want uninterrupted free space in the activity area. So where you want column free space, so possibly in those structures, thin shell structures are very much beneficial for use. The other example is funicular structural system. So here if we had to construct this entire roof with that of RCC, then the construction cost would have been much higher over here. So the structure shaped according to the natural load distribution pattern. So the load transfer, the force is transferred mainly through compression or tension. The material efficiency here is comparatively higher. It reduces the bending stress and material usage. Examples include arches, cables, suspension bridges, catenary structures. So, this is an example of railway station in Azerbaijan. So, the terminal is covered something with such funicular roof system. If we see the case studies for such alternate roofing material, flooring material or materials for walls, we can quote some examples of the projects which are developed by HUDCO affordable housing projects in India. So, they promote the use of precast components and low cost materials, use of precast doors and window frames, reduces the timber usage, and also it includes cement and terrazzo flooring for cost efficiency. Further, it achieved generally compared to other projects 15 to 25% of cost reduction is possible in such projects, and the focus is on scalability and urban affordable housing projects in this example. So, you can explore further some of these projects which are completed by HUDCO and understand how these alternate materials are used in construction. The other example is of Aranya low cost housing which is designed by B.V. Doshi, and I will cover this in detail in my in my presentations in the 11th unit, where we will understand the philosophy of B.V. Doshi and understand the projects like Aranya low cost housing in detail, but here just a glimpse is provided and you can explore it further with some references that I have been provided, that how this project is actually contributing towards low cost construction. So, it is kind of urban informal resettlement project, where the people of which were staying in shanty homes were given a better quality homes for improved quality of life. So, you can understand and explore this project more and also identify what different low cost materials were used or the techniques that were used for construction. So, in conclusion, we can say that alternate materials helps in reducing construction cost and the environmental impact of the building. Use of locally available materials lowers the transportation cost. Innovative roofing, flooring and structural system improves the efficiency and durability of the structure. Thin shells and funicular system shows efficient use of materials through structural design, because when we had to construct an RCC construction in such compared to thin shell and funicular structure, the cost of construction increases because the depth of the beam, the column requirement and all that increases with the as we increase the span of the structure. These technologies support sustainable and affordable housing development, and with proper design and workmanship it can be ensured that the structural safety and performance of these buildings are improved. So, you can complete some of these activities that are suggested here, like you can explain some alternate building materials that contribute to cost reduction and sustainability in construction. In an affordable housing project, how would the choice of roofing, flooring and wall material influences the overall construction cost and performance? So, you have to imagine a scenario where you will be using alternate building material and compare that with the conventional building material, and then try to understand how and in which circumstances you are minimizing the cost of construction. Also, you can think about this, that if the conventional material like cement and steel becomes significantly more expensive in future, because these are available only through mining of the earth, and when there will be a time when the availability of these materials will be a question, because you can't further, these are all non-renewable resources. So, in that circumstances, how you can alternative materials and innovative construction system can reshape the housing sector in India. So, you can imagine this and come up with some alternative answers for this. Then in our next presentation, we will understand about some of the specific techniques that are adopted in low cost construction, like rat trap bond, precast RCC units, prefabricated panels, glued plywood web beams or roof panels using plywood systems. So, all these will be covered in the next presentation, and these are some references which you can refer and understand more about sustainable architecture and low cost building materials and system. So with this I would like to conclude my presentation, and I hope that the learnings on alternate building materials, especially in this lecture, is helpful for you to make a decision and also recommend anyone who is looking for low cost building material options. So thank you for your patience listening.